All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your first of two semifinals for WPC Ace, the biggest Dota 2 tournament ever outside of the international, bar none. Over $250,000 in prizes to be handed out, and that is without a community-funded prize pool. I'm LD of Beyond the Summit, and I'm joined here today by my brother from another mother, Winter. How you doing?
What's up, buddy? I'm doing good.
It's going to be a pretty awesome match today. DK versus Vici Gaming. Unfortunately for Vici Gaming, they will not be playing with Sylar. He's not allowed to play for them because he was not on their roster when the season started. So they have to use Mikasa, the manager, as a stand-in, which is... that's tough. Because Sylar has really been fitting in well with Vici Gaming as of late.
He's the coach, if I'm not mistaken, not the manager.
Okay, sorry. Coach. I hope I haven't offended Mikasa's fans too much.
Yeah, during the interview they mentioned Mikasa was the coach of the team.
And you mentioned that he's actually... The last time they played with him, he was actually solo mid. He played the solo mid role, and they had Super on the carry role.
Yeah, he was playing TA. That was what I remembered the last time around during the league.
Now, if you put like someone like anyone who's not an absolute top flight pro against Mushi, and they have a matchup that isn't hugely advantaged, they're gonna get crushed. So, how do you deal with that? Let's say he is going mid. What should your approach be as Vici Gaming? Do you just give him like a hero that's not supposed to win the lane, like a Dragon Knight or a Beastmaster, and say it's okay if you lose your lane, we don't need you to win it? What's the game plan? How do you deal with it?
I would annoy Mushi as much as possible, like with the supports. Maybe a good example would be level 1 Enfeeble from the Bane, and you just stand there and annoy him so he doesn't take last hits for two waves of creeps before you leave Mikasa alone. That would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think a bad idea would be leaving him 1v1 unless he's got a big advantage in terms of hero matchup. To me, that's a good way to get into trouble.
And you can't really rely on the smoke gangs. If you notice the recent games, Vici Gaming smoke gangs are getting much more predictable. Everyone knows when it's coming and knows how to dodge it. So the smoke gangs are not going to be as effective as before. It used to be super effective for Vici Gaming, but they need to rely on something else, I would say.
Yeah, and that's a really good point about Vici Gaming, their playstyle. FY and Fenrir, both of these guys often move around a lot. Now, they don't necessarily move together. It's not like LGDN where they two-man smoke gank constantly. I mean, sometimes they will, but often we'll just see one of them just make a rotation, one of them keeps on pulling or jungling, although they don't pick junglers all that often. And, well, we'll have to see if they can pull a fast one on DK.
They actually do.
I haven't seen... What have they been running lately? Because I have not seen them pick too many junglers.
They do Chen and Enchantress a lot, and if they don't have the jungling heroes, they would run Rubik and Leshrac together, or Crystal Maiden. If they get the Maiden, usually it's a Chen or Enchantress.
I know that they love their Visage, obviously. That's one of their big supports. Yeah. And, well, for DK, there's always the Lamb Earthshaker. I hope we get to see more of it after his performance at MLG. And, you know, it's funny, like, they were the only team really picking Earthshaker, and then the heroes just kind of disappeared. Nobody's been playing him for the past month. And nothing's changed. I mean, he hasn't got nerfed. Still the same patch.
Other heroes have been much more... I would say other supports are better because Earthshaker is very defensive, and being on the defensive side is not a good thing at a lot of situations. You want to be the ones dictating the play. So I personally don't feel Earthshaker is a very strong aggressive support. He's just a very defensive support.
You know, I think you can run him aggressively, but it's not the Earthshaker that makes it aggressive. Like what we saw DK do at MLG, they had the one game where they went Pugna aggressive try, and it was Pugna Visage plus Earthshaker. But the Earthshaker wasn't really the reason they were able to be aggressive. It was the other two heroes in the lane. So he just stuns, and then they follow up. As for Vici Gaming, I mean, this is a team to me that just has really... we were talking a little bit like about the matchup in pregame, and you give DK an advantage, even if they have their full roster. I feel like it's more 50-50. DK has been playing a bit better lately, but I feel both teams at their best. I feel Vici Gaming, in general, has had the better like team fight execution. They seem to have a clearer strategy in most games. If you look back at some of DK's recent victories, they've used a lot of Wisp. I wouldn't say it's like Rat Dota, but you'll see like Burning Tiny, and they'll kind of play for mid to late game. even if they have to give up some team fights early on and maybe lose a few lanes. But their execution was not quite as polished as, like, say, a team like Fnatic. Well, I'd say polished. Fnatic can be a little over-aggressive at times, but they didn't seem as comfortable with the strategy, I guess is the way to put it. So I'm curious to see if DK can take it to the next level, because this is a big time to do it. This is the biggest LAN tournament in China, and frankly, the biggest in the world outside of the international, at least in terms of prize money.
Yeah, this tournament is very prestigious in China, and like you mentioned, No Tail and Era are one of the most polished, Wiz and Tiny, or whatever combination they do. I feel like the biggest factor of the success rate of the combination is the experience of playing it. The longer you have played it, the better you get at it. And the teams on China obviously don't use IO and another combination of a carry as much as the Western teams do. So they do understand the combination a lot better than most of the Western teams, the Eastern teams, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Witter, I said, we talked about this in the pregame, but we'll do it for the VOD. You have DK winning this 3-0 or 3-1. Do you still stand by that? Seeing that angry face from RTK, it doesn't sway you at all?
No.
Ice has the, like, come over here. Reminds me of, like, a little Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter action in his image here.
I have a feeling Vici Gaming might go for Enchantress. I think Enchantress could be a good solution to help Mikasa in the solo mid position. Get a mana burn creep or a Wild Wing Reaper to help him.
Yeah, and for anyone just joining us, it is a best of 5. So the teams will have a little more room to experiment than a traditional best out of 3 or best of 1 series. And that might mean we see like a crazy pocket strat in game 1. If you're Vici Gaming, you may not feel like you can win in a straight up traditional fight. So maybe they try and do something crazy with the draft. And with that being said, we conclude the player introductions, guys, on the Chinese stream. Let's hop inside the game. It's time for game 1 of our best of 5, DK versus Vici Gaming for WPC Ace. Here we go.
First pick Timbersaw. Did you see that coming?
This reminds me. Oh, this is what DK was doing right when 6.78 came out. Or not when it came. Sorry, when they unveiled their new roster in 6.78. It was like first or second pick Timbersaw every game for Ice, and then Mushi would get a strong solo mid, and Burning would often be the sacrificial lamb. Do you think we'll see a return of that style, or just an Ice Timbersaw and that's it?
It doesn't mean that when they pick the Timbersaw, it would always be an aggressive tri-lane and Burning would be on the hard end of it. Sometimes they just pick the Timbersaw because he's just a position tree that has so much comeback mechanics. You can farm your way to victory later on. It's not like something a clockwork where you have to always be helping your team and you can't really get too much farm if your team is losing. Timbersaw is a different type of hero. He's more of a very farming-orientated utility hero, and not to mention, Timbersaw is one of those heroes that you can abuse with Ice personal skill. If you get that 1 versus 1 matchup, he's going to be very happy with that.
Yeah, and you mentioned the possibility of like an Enchantress or a Chen pick. Timbersaw is not really an easy hero to gank, and he's also a very dangerous hero to gank, because if you don't burst him instantly, he will turn around and just murder your supports. They've gone Crystal Maiden is food for Timbersaw if she ever falls behind, and if you get an Enchantress or a Chen here, you'd better make those first few ganks work, but on that note, forgot to unmute in-game sound, there we go. They'll go Nyx Assassin, so Vici Gaming, pretty good hero against Timbersaw. Carapace is really annoying for Timbersaw. The Mana Burn's very annoying. I would say Nyx in general is a pretty good counter to the hero.
Yeah, and when the enemy team picks a Timbersaw and you know the DK's Timbersaw is always going to be offlane most of the time, you need 2 laning supports to deal with Timbersaw. If you use a jungling support and 1 laning support only, the Timbersaw can have a very good time in the offlane. So having double supports on the lane is very necessary to deal with the Timbersaw on the offlane.
Winter, I mentioned you in the pregame. I think Super's been the best solo mid in China, if not like the best in the world over the past month or so. He's really stepped up his game. Reminds you a lot of how Super was playing back in 2011 when DK was, the kings of the East. Nobody could touch them. They won like every tournament they entered, sort of like eHome did in 2010. Storm has probably been his best hero over the past month, and it gets banned out here by DK. To me, this is just purely a respect ban.
Yeah, the Storm has been really his signature hero over the past month. They've been running it over and over again. It's very similar to having a Outward Devour in the mid lane because you act as a solo mid but as a carry as well, and you can control the tempo at the same time. So Storm is a very good hero in that matter, and DK have just taken the liberty to just not want to deal with it because they feel that that's one of the strongest weapons that Vici Gaming have.
And Rubik picked up now. Rubik, a hero that obviously is very devastating in the hands of MMY. He's normally the one to play it, although Lamb certainly can. Also matches up well against Nyx. Carapace will not get procced when you lift him, so most supports kind of are just don't know what to do when a Nyx runs at them with Carapace on, but Rubik can just lift him and run away. So DK now bans out the Doom, and Doom's kind of an interesting hero. He's been hot or cold. Some games he just gets ignored, and other games teams will even pick him up right away in the second stage. So
Doom ban tells me that Slug is gonna get really strong without the Doom.
When Slark first got released with his new version in 6.79c, he was like auto first ban, first pick material, but it seems like he's fallen off already. Teams have got a little more comfortable with him, but you don't want to get too comfortable against Slark. Vici Gaming don't have that much burst damage, and you need like pure burst damage to bring a Slark down. Or Doom, like you said, but there is no Doom here.
Yeah, DK is not afraid of fighting the Slug. This is not the first time I've seen them just totally ignore the Slug, didn't pick up the Slug for themselves. They feel that with the Slug on the enemy team, they can do something like a 5-man with a Pugna as a carry and just push down the enemy towers. Because after you pick Slug on your team, you have to rely on getting a lot of farm on that hero, and that hero is a good pick-off target. You find solo targets and pick off, but when the enemy team is 5-manning all constantly, you can't really use the fact that you can pick off heroes. So I don't think that DK is just too worried about the Slug. They just understand how to deal with the Slug at the moment.
Guys, for those who are unhappy with the in-game audio quality, it is the same old story with Perfect World, unfortunately. The routing is not the best. Hopefully the game itself doesn't lag, but if you are not happy with the in-game audio quality, I do apologize. There's nothing we can do right now to fix it, except hope that the next game has a better server connection. So if you want the audio, your only real option is to listen to the stream, and hopefully it's relatively synced up. But I do apologize. It's just nothing we can fix. So as for DK, they go Luna here. Interesting pick. I mean, it's a little bit weak against Dragonite Nyx. They've got some good instant initiation from Dragon Tail. Even if you get a BKB, you can still be bursted down. And DK doesn't really have a great defensive support. But obviously, if the game goes later, they have a very strong dual core already.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I feel the Luna is one of the strongest carry now. Mostly picked up all the time. Everyone wants to get Luna as their position 1, and you don't want to give like the enemy Dragonite and Luna together. It's extremely strong mid game and for early fights as well, and late game is also really difficult to deal with. So I would say the Luna pickup is just generally expected because everyone wants a carry that can team fight, a carry that can help your team get back into the game or help your team extend your advantage if you get an advantage from early on. So Luna is a basically very strong hero in that matter.
Yeah, she is weak in the laning stage, but Nyx isn't...
Not really that weak.
I think she can be. Certain lanes can really punish a Luna, but it depends on the matchup. She is fairly squishy, doesn't have any sort of escape mechanism, so if she does get caught out. But they go Crystal Maiden, Mirana, so they actually have a pretty strong offensive tri-lane already. It could be a support Nyx. We'll have to wait and see how they want to lane it. Probably is a support Nyx from the looks of it.
Maybe DK goes for a Chen now and goes for a very strong 5-man. Luna, Chen, Rubik, very standard strong 5-man against the Nyx and the Mirana. Like, if you look at the matchup, look at the heroes Vici Gaming have. If you're worried of them doing an aggressive tri-lane on you, Maiden, Nyx, and Mirana, once you pick up the Chen, you could basically negate them coming over. If they want to come and challenge your tri-lane with you having a Chen, it would be rather difficult for them.
Will they go Chen, I guess, is the question here. That's a pretty greedy draft if they go Chen, Rubik as their 2 supports.
I would say it's still alright, but wow, this is very unusual. Rubik and Shadow Demon as supports together.
I remember we were seeing this, like, it was almost a year ago. Teams were...
1 year ago.
Yeah, I think it was even G League. Teams would pick this combo occasionally, and actually it did very poorly. Rubik, Shadow Demon do not generally work that well together.
No, they are not very good supports that click together. I mean, they are good supports in their... If you pick one of each, but if you pick 2 together, it's not good. They don't really work well together because they lack damage, and both of these heroes are setups, not the type of damage supports you want, like a Nyx.
Obviously, Shadow Demon works really well with Luna. Rubik matches up pretty well against Nyx. I mean, they're both good supports on their own, on paper, but as a combination, I don't know. Is there any chance we see something different? Do they maybe put like a Rubik mid? I don't know. I'm trying to piece this together. It seems a little
No, I
curious.
don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's just a support combination. Mushi doesn't play Rubik solo mid.
I'm disappointed.
Why? You like to see Mushi solo mid on Rubik instead of something a quap?
Yeah, I would love to see that actually. And I'm glad you brought up the Quap because, well, what is Mushi going to play mid? Probably laning against the Dragonite here. Quap can somewhat shut down a Dragonite. If anyone could zone him out of lane, probably would be Mushi.
5 seconds
I'm
remaining.
thinking, pondering about their options here. The normal options we will go for Mushi every time we talk about his hero would be either a TA or a quap.
Or OD, but that was banned in the first stage.
Yeah. And he doesn't play Elder Titan. I would say Elder Titan is also... Okay, Elder Titan is gone now.
Oh man. Look at this 5-man Dota from Vici. This is a very scary teamfight lineup. They have like so many spammable stuns, a very good death ball, I would say.
Very painful spells. Arrow is high damage. Mana Burn is very high damage too later on. And the Spirit and the Aura there. So a lot of damage from Vici Gaming. But it seems like I don't feel like they're going to go for the aggressive tri-lane anymore after the Elder Titan. It will just be off-lane Elder Titan with safe lane Mirana and probably a jungling Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, and DK having a Rubik Shadow Demon Luna, that is not a very fearsome tri-lane, but Vici are not going to contest it. They're going to just put probably the Elder Titan off-lane, and maybe they run like a Mirana +1 off-lane and Elder Titan +1 safe lane, but I don't know. Their ability to contest DK, they're not that scary.
I don't like the sound of that, like having two heroes at bottom. I feel like the more stable playstyle would be having the Maiden on the jungle. You get more out of the map, and the Elder Titan is just going to be that off lane that doesn't get much on the lane anyway. He just needs a level, so you don't really need to help him at the start. You just have to focus on getting levels on the Nyx especially, and getting farm on the Maiden and the Mirana. So I do not foresee them doing any dual lanes this game.
Well, no dual lanes means easy time for this Luna. So Birdie should have a very good start. The offlane Timbersaw going to be up against some combination of probably Nyx, Crystal Maiden, and Mirana, I imagine. And that's actually a scary lane for Timbersaw. He can definitely die to that dual/tri lane, depending on where the CM goes. The mid lane will be a Mushi Windrunner. So this is something he will turn to, usually when his other heroes are banned. But make no mistake about it, Mushi Windrunner is very scary. Or Wind Ranger, I should say.
I'm figuring out. Yeah, I do not like that name. So I'm figuring out why did he opted to go for the Wind Ranger, like you said. Maybe he just wants to use the Wind Ranger. They need some sort of spam to deal with the early. If the Dragonite wants to come and push down the towers, so they have the Power Shot and the Fate Bolt right now to deal with the push. So it will be relatively easy for DK to fan off Vici Gaming from early tower pressure. Maybe that's what he wanted to do. That's why he didn't go for his traditional Quap or something like a TA. Yeah,
plus DK already has a lot of damage. I guess that's the other thing to consider, is Timbersaw Luna gives you quite a fearsome late game lineup, and Vici Gaming are decent late game, but it's not like they went for a true hard carry, so... Windrunner can build a Hex. They don't really have a natural Hex carry outside of that, so... It just seems like kind of the balanced pick from Mushi. I guess.
Yeah, very just balanced. It's not too greedy, and at the same time it helps out, contributes a lot to the team. You can get an early mech and potentially build a Hex later on.
Absolutely. Well, guys, on that note, it is time for game one of our best of 5. It's DK versus Vici Gaming. Let's get underway with game one. We'll start introductions now. On the Radiant side, we begin with the man known as Burning. He'll be playing your carry Luna Lamb. On the Shadow Demon, Ice 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 will be that offlane Timbersaw, most likely. MMY going to be playing the support Rubik, and that does leave Mushi as the Wind Ranger heading towards the bottom lane.
He's actually not going solo mid. And on the Dire side, we have two ex-DK players, Super playing on the Dragonite this game, Mikasa will be playing on the Mirana, FY will be handling the support Nyx, RTK, the drafter, will be on the offlane Elder Titan with a Boots of Speed at the start of the game. Fenrir will be finishing the lineup with the Crystal Maiden.
Alright, well, on that note, Winter, it looks like Vici are going to go defensive, and they're just going to leave the Elder Titan offlane. He is starting Boots first, so Elder Titan offlane up against Ice solo. So this is actually what DK was doing right when 6.78, or right after the International 3, was they would just try and get Ice the 1v1 matchup, Mushi the 1v1 matchup, and even if they lose their tri-lane, they don't really care, because they look to crush the 2 solo lanes and snowball from there, so it seems that will be the game plan here as well, and they should... Oh, we'll have an initial disruption. I'm not going to do too much here from Lamb, but... It seems like their matchup should be favorable, although Vici Gaming are maybe adjusting their lanes as well. They do not want to get that Elder Titan versus Timbersaw 1v1 matchup.
It's kind of weird. If they wanted to run something like this, Arrow, is the Arrow gonna hit? No, Arrow not gonna hit. But if they wanted to run something like this, I would actually expect them to have Mushi on a much more aggressive hero like a quad to win the lane better.
I guess they just like the utility the Windrunner brings to the table later on. Because if you look at their lineup, they actually only had 1 stun, and that was the Rubik Lift. So I can kind of understand them wanting a little more lockdown in the mid game.
Yeah, and DK is just gonna switch up their lanes. They're gonna leave a dual lane at top, and the Shadow Demon will be at the bottom to support the Timbersaw against the tri lane. I actually like this change up a lot. They're gonna be able to pressure the top lane and elevate some of the pressure of their own for Ice. So this decision, I like it a lot.
Yeah, Bernie's basically going to get free farm top lane, and the bottom lane's really hard to kill. Shadow Demon Timbersaw, if they hit a good arrow, they can get a kill, but otherwise I don't see it happening. Like, if you ever see the arrow coming, you can always just disrupt yourself to dodge it. And if your Timbersaw ever gets hit, he could just be disrupted. So, tough lane to get a kill on.
Yeah, I don't think they can get a kill if they don't stun the Shadow Demon first. Because, like you said, they can always disrupt Ice, so he doesn't have to worry too much. It's very hard to kill, and our TK is going to get lift up at top.
He is going to be on the run here. Bernie's got another Lucid Beam. There you go. First blood. Boot's first build, but it doesn't really help you that much against this dual lane, because Luna just runs you down anyway. She is very fast, and Bernie already has his own boots. So, easy first blood for DK.
Yeah, having that boots totally didn't help him in that situation. A Stout Shoot would have provided him much more survivability, but he expected to go on the off lane and started with the boots, so he paid for it.
Mushi's going to find the 2-minute rune. It is an illusion, and 11-3 to the 7-0 of Dragonite. We talked about the coach possibly playing that solo mid role, but Mikasa is the tri-lane farmer, so maybe it was just a hero-related thing, or maybe they just don't want the Mushi versus Mikasa matchup, but either way, this mid lane going well, burning free farming, and the Timbersaw isn't dying and he's getting levels, so I would say basically DK winning all 3 lanes.
Yeah, I would agree with you completely. Their Timbersaw is getting levels, and that's all they need for the Timbersaw now. And the 2 cores, the Wind Ranger and the Luna, are farming very well from the start of the game. So the early game is going to be very, very hugely won by DK.
Yeah, it's funny Vici Gaming blocked all these camps as well as the pull, because to be honest, I feel like they would like DK to pull, because then they can maybe actually set up a kill and get some experience, but they're not smoking, they're not ganking. They do have a smoke, but Nyx is not really the best level 2 ganker.
Yeah.
Oh, they're going in on Ice. Disruption will be there, trying to buy him some time. The Soul Catcher comes through, but he does get impaled. Ice, perhaps a little overzealous here. I think he's going down, but the Directive Armor keeping him alive for now. Timber Chains to the right, and it's Mikasa who has to turn tail and run. So, already level 4 and already very hard to kill. And he had 6 stick charges, so he had plenty of regen if he needed it.
Yeah, there was no way they were going to kill him there, and he was just baiting it. He was waiting until the last moment. He wanted to try and kill the Mirana and wanted to see if the Mirana went greedy and tried to kill him.
I mean, what else could Vici Gaming be doing right now? Like, DK obviously wanted that Timbersaw Elder Titan matchup. They didn't get it, but they made a good adjustment. And Vici Gaming clearly can't win their tri-lane. Can they gank? I mean, can they switch their lanes? Because this just does not seem to be working at all.
Maybe they just like try and gank, and I don't know, like they are not going to get any kills for the Timbersaw. As long as the Timbersaw stays safe and Shadow Demon is there to back him out, they are not going to get too many kills here. Not even one, I feel.
And the problem is they're running a Crystal Maiden and a Nyx. Nyx needs the levels, and Crystal Maiden is food without some farm. And go into the mid game, and DK are just going to run her over. Ice will get frostbitten up, but there's a disruption available. They know they've got to go for Lamb first. Ice, he turns around on Fenrir. One more Timber Chain over the top. Easy picking. They will get Lamb. as a counter kill, but giving a 1-for-1 up in a tri-lane is not really a fantastic trade. And FY, he might be giving up a 2-for-1. Ice needed to cancel that auto attack. Does get Carapace stunned. I think could have just waited it out and then gone for the kill, but didn't have the mana for another Timber Chain. So in the end, it is a 1-for-1.
Yeah, it's still a huge victory for DK. Dual lane getting 1-for-1 trade against the tri-lane. I think maybe they just rotate their supports out right now. It's getting really bad for Vici if they still continue to do the tri-lane at bottom.
And they're losing mid really badly as well. Mushi is 32-13 and Super 17-1. Now this is a somewhat disadvantaged matchup, but I would say some of this is just Mushi outplaying Super as well.
I think the lane is not too bad for Dragon Knight. It's just Mushi playing very well in the last hitting department. He's just able to zone the Dragon Knight out in the first few waves. If you win the first few waves very badly against the Dragon Knight, you will be able to control him a lot. But the Dragon Knight still doesn't really matter too much right now for him. The farm disadvantage is that he has his level, so it would depend on how he's going to change the game for his team in the next few minutes with his ultimate.
Here comes a level 3 smoke from a Nyx Crystal Maiden, and they're smoke ganking the lane where they were tri-laning, which basically screams desperation to me. And it will be revealed now. FY, he'll move into... Well, actually it is nighttime, so I don't think it's been revealed yet, but he's pretty much given up on the gank as he just runs into the lane. Now he's going to hide in the trees. But Ice, he's already level 5. Even if they found him, I don't think they could kill him, Winter.
Dire's top tower is under
No,
attack.
they can't. It's difficult.
And there's a TP on Luna with the clip, so if they actually dive that, they're just going to give up 2 or 3 kills.
And our TK is actually stuck on the cliff.
Okay. Sorry for missing that, guys. Thought there'd be action bottom, but
Radiant's
looks like
bottom
Die threw him
tower
up
is
there,
under
and he's
attack.
actually been there for a
Dire's
while,
top
because he's
tower
level
is
2.
under attack.
Oh boy. And they're pushing his tower now as well.
Yeah, and look at Lamb. He's just waiting for him to get the TP, and he's going to go and disrupt him.
Yeah, the Radiant do have an Observer Ward here. I don't know if they realize that if he gets disrupted again, he's going to be up there for like another minute. This is quite problematic. I don't know if he can get there in time for disruption, though.
Yeah, maybe.
TP's
Oh
gonna
no,
fly. Yeah, he's too late.
he's too late.
But the damage was done. They did like a good couple hundred, like, sorry, 1,000 damage to the tower almost. And RTK's level 2. And he probably missed like 3 or 4 creep waves there. Level 2 Elder Titan against a level 6 dual lane Luna. Yeah, and you compare that to Ice, he's level 6. So the offlaners have a 4-level discrepancy at 7 minutes in. This is very bad for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, Fenrir even didn't opted to skill his aura at level 3. They just wanted to get a kill very, very badly on the offlane, but it didn't work. And not having the aura is certainly not a very good thing for your team without the aura. Mostly the Maiden aura would help your team farm a lot more during the early phase, but he just wanted to get more damage to help kill in the lane against the Timbersaw. But that was not the case.
You know,
They
Winter,
actually didn't do much.
yeah, and you know, since we have a pause here, I'll pick your brain about this. I was asking you a minute or two ago, you know, what could Vici Gaming be doing differently in the laning stage? And one thing you mentioned in the draft is, you know, just jungling with CM. But Fenrir never even attempted to jungle. He just sat in the lane. He smoke ganked, and I mean, he could easily be the same level as the Rubik. You can be level 5 at 8 minutes in just by jungling as Crystal Maiden. So he's just chosen to lane, and I mean, would it have made a difference if he jungled? I guess is the question. Maybe put some pressure on Mushi mid, go for an early gank.
I was thinking that the main reason they placed wards at bottom to block off the camp because they didn't expect an aggressive tri-lane from DK with Shadow Demon and Rubik pickup. So the way they lane their heroes was
Dire's top tower
different
is under
than
attack.
usual, and maybe they just run the Elder Titan against the Timbersaw regardless and just jungle the Maiden. That would have
Dire's top
been
tower
could have
has
been a
fallen.
better option instead of trying to run an aggressive tri-lane there.
Oh, this has the makings of a disaster. They're gonna dive Ice at the bottom lane. Arrow will fly, even if it connects. I feel like he should have let that hit, because Burning still has the TP available with Eclipse,
Yeah.
Ogre Club, and Reign of a Kill. Like, you should totally bait that and let the arrow hit, but Vici Gaming will back off. And now Moonlight Shadow gets popped. They
They're gonna
can't go on
try?
Ice. I feel like that's the
They
worst
can't.
hero to go on.
The Shadow Demon behind him, they can never get a kill unless they kill the Shadow Demon first. As long as the Shadow Demon stays behind in the trees.
And there's a sentry ward here, so DK were expecting a lane ward and making sure that they don't get backstabbed by one. Murano will not have vision for an arrow, and instead will rotate towards mid, but Is Mushi an easy kill? He's got a haste, and he's got phase boots. This is not an easy customer to bring down. Arrow to fly,
Unless
will
they
it
hit the arrow.
connect?
Unless they hit the arrow.
Just slightly off the mark there. That was close, though. That was close.
Just 9.5 minutes, David, and it's 4,000 advantage.
But it feels so much worse than that, because DK picked like a really awkward pair of support. Shadow Demon Rubik, not really a strong duo early on. Vici Gaming had the Nyx Crystal Maiden, which you would think could get more done. So, I mean, to be ahead with a lineup that looked like it should probably at least lose the tri-lane is very impressive. Very impressive indeed.
Yeah, they never expected the lanes that DK... Like, knowing and guessing the lanes is a very huge part of the early game. If you don't know what your enemies are going to do and how are they going to lane their heroes, you're going to have a tough time putting the lanes that are going to be favorable for yourself. So I would say most of the disadvantage came because they didn't really expect the lanes of DK, so they didn't really have the proper lanes to deal with whatever DK was going to do.
I mean, what lanes were they expecting, though? Because if they went with the original matchups, which was going to be Timbersaw, Elder... I guess they didn't expect DK to go aggressive, like you said, but...
Yeah.
Here comes the Chakram bottom lane. Not going to dive. I mean, even if DK didn't go aggressive and Vici Gaming just ran like an Elder Titan offlane against the tri-lane, I think that would still be decent for DK. And they would still win mid, most likely, with the Windrunner DK matchup.
But there's a huge difference because you can jungle your Maiden. Maiden, Nyx, and Mirana is also a very good lane to deal with the Timbersaw. So if they put only a Timbersaw at top, Timbersaw would have a hard time getting levels because he could potentially get killed by the stuns of the enemy lane. I would think the lanes would be better if
as far as the
Titan
Crystal
was
Maiden, though,
offlane.
she could have jungled regardless. Like, even when they went aggressive,
Yeah.
she could still have been jungling.
Radiant's top tower has
And, like, she
fallen.
could have
This
maybe even
way-
put pressure on mid.
This way of laning was really tough for Vici Gaming for the early game, the lanes.
It is tough indeed. And, well, Vici Gaming, they've had 2 smoke ganks fail so far. Their supports are level 4. Meanwhile, the enemy Rubik has already hit 6. And DK, 11 minutes in. It says 2-1 on the kill score, but that is very misleading. They're up by 5k gold, 4k experience. They have their mech for the Windrunner, a double damage rate on Mushi. He's going to TP home and pick it up. And with the BKB about to be delivered on Burning, I mean, this team is pretty much ready to 5-man. They have mech, they have BKB, and Vici Gaming have none of their core items to team fight. No mech, no BKB, no Shadowblade on Dragon Knight. They got nothing, Winter.
Wow, I just noticed how farm is Mushi actually with that early mech and 73 CS.
Yeah. See, guys, you don't need Midas to get farmed. He hasn't even gotten his tower mid yet, but they did take the tower
maybe-
top and bottom.
Maybe they're gonna get their first kill here. Imperial's gonna land on MMY, arrow to follow, he's gonna go down.
Good initiation from Vici Gaming and a much needed kill. It is a support, but it's a pretty highly leveled support. Level 7 Rubik goes down, so that's almost like killing a farmer, just in terms of how much experience he'll give you.
But they made a huge mistake there. They didn't have to spend the Mirana ulti. It has a really long cooldown.
Yeah.
And it would be really helpful to set up ganks since they used up so many smokes already.
I guess at this Burning. He's hiding in the side shop. Is he going to TP
wards-
out?
the
Is he going to
wards saw
TP
them.
out? He's got Eclipse. Is he going to turn this around? He is very tanky. He's got 1100 health. Oh, they just figured he was gone. They see Ice chasing. And now, Lucent Beam already been used. The arrow's going to fly. And Vici will retreat. But Ice continues to pursue out. Meanwhile, middle lane, Mushi. He's got the mech and he's just sieging. I would like to see Mushi join the team if they're going to push, though. You really want to have the mech for this next fight.
Yeah, you really do want to have the mech, but he just wants to make sure that the middle lane doesn't get pressured by the Dragon Knight. He doesn't want to leave the lane when Dragon Knight is in the lane.
And that Dragon Knight, normally we see the solo mid Dragon Knight gets his tower by this point, whether they smoke gank the lane or the enemy solo mid just ganks, but Mushi's just AFK farming mid. So the lane's never getting pushed in.
Yeah, I'm starting to see the main reason why he picked up the Wind Ranger here against the Dragon Knight. Very good solo mid hero to defend your tower against the Dragon Knight.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, Ice going ham. He wants the RTK, can't quite get the kill, but I think was just hoping to force out a TP. And, well, he'll get one in the form of the Mirana running into the lane.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of pressure, and if you notice the build he went for a Perseverance first, which means he feels that his team is in such a huge advantage that he
Middle
doesn't need the
lane.
point booster.
Middle lane, Super gets caught up by Lucenby, but there is a Mirana in the fight. Unfortunately, the stolen arrow used against Mikasa, he'll go down. Mushi still has mech available, still relatively healthy. He could power shot, go for Fenrir soon. Now the Shackle to fly, off the mark, but they just want this tower, and Vici Gaming are going to have a hard time defending it. Eclipse is still available. Lucent Beam gets spammed yet again, and with Eclipse online, you cannot defend this tower. It goes down to DK. That's 3 towers down, Shackle to fly. Mushi's fishing. Can't quite get a Shackle there, but they'll keep on trying. They'll go... Oh, actually, picks out the Crystal Maid. Now the Shadow Demon will fall. 1 for 1 on the supports. Dragon Knight pursuing MMY for the time being. He does have a Stroll and Breathe Fire, but in comes the Nyx. He's walked into a Sentry. Now the Lucent Beam coming through, and they'll all retreat. Burning had Eclipse with the Magic Stick charges, but chooses not to use it.
It was still a good victory for DK. They took down the tower and they traded 1-for-1 supports. I think Shadow Demon was just trying very hard to get an initiation off. That's why he was in a far side position, but Mushi was actually able to finish off the Maiden with a long range power shot. Didn't need the Shadow Demon to try and engage, but was still okay.
Is your game laggy, by the way? Because I feel like I'm not getting some of these animations.
I'm actually very, very good this time.
Now that you're not streaming, right? Now everything's fine. Murphy's Law, huh? So we'll see DK look to defend their bottom lane. I think that's the big thing with DK this game is they've taken 3 towers, they've only given up the 1 top. And it puts Vici Gaming at a huge gold deficit. They were already getting out farm, so maybe off of that you're down like 3k gold.
Oh, Shaka.
Really, Mikasa? He's trying to dive Ice. He's going to pay the piper. I think he leaps away. Is there going to be another power shot, a Shackle to fly?
Man.
Power shot is available. 1 second. Mushi's going to go for it. Shackle, not going to connect. Power shot will, though. Pierces through the Mirana's heart. The cat lady dies.
That was just really, really too aggressive from the Mirana, and he just paid the price of trying to get a kill, which he can't really kill. And F1 is just waiting for backup to kill Ice.
Dude, this Wind Ranger is insanely farmed. Shackle's gonna connect on RTK. He's in trouble now. The spirits come back. I think Mushi's just gonna right click him down. Wind Run gets popped. 1 more right click. Oh, Magic Stick. Juking. Not juking enough. Meanwhile, while that's happening, Super does kill off Ice of the bottom lane. So it is a 1-for-1 in that sense.
Killing the Timbersaw is much more worthy right now since he's much more farm and he's going for the more farm intensive build.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Perseverance first. I feel like if you need mana, just bottle Crow a bit. Because Mushi should be able to get the runes this game.
It's a very good way of starting the Bloodstone if you're expecting that you're not going to be needed in fighting a lot and you won't be dying too much because your team is in a huge lead. The Perseverance helps you get to the Bloodstone much faster.
Yeah, but not when you're dying, and the other components help keep you alive, so it's definitely a trade-off in that regard. And they're going on Super now. Lucent Beam will fly. Now they lift him up, they toss it back. Soul Catcher's there. And the Dragon Knight falls again. He has managed to farm a BKB, though. Super's actually farming alright, considering how poorly the game seems to be going for Vici. Not bad.
Yeah, he definitely has a very, very decent last hits, but he's gonna take a lot of items for him to be able to fight effectively against DK. He needs, he's gonna have his BKB now, but he needs probably the Shadow Blade as well, and it's gonna take another 10 minutes for him to get there.
Bottom lane. And I think the real losers for Vici Gaming are just this Mirana who's...
Ice in trouble.
Oh, he gets caught out again. The Mana Bird Impale. Nick's such a good hero against Timbersaw, but I don't know if they have the damage to bring him down. He's still alive. They're going to turn it around. MMY joins the party. Shadow Demon's here as well, but it's too late. No defensive disruption to keep his teammate alive. Lamb not on the ball there. Now Mikasa on the run. I think he's going to live as well. 1 more right click is needed. There's your Fade Bolt. Just barely able to secure the kill. But I think if you're Vici, you'll take that trade.
There was like a lot of difference between having level 2 reactive armor and level 1 reactive armor.
Wait, where was the disruption there, by the way?
Yeah, he didn't expect Ice to die to that second, to that last right click, because usually the Timbersaw takes very few damage from right clicks because of reactive armor, but that situation, having only 1 point in reactive armor, so the Shadow Demon didn't expect the Timbersaw to die from that right click, so he didn't use his disruption.
Yeah, it's a pretty greedy build to only take the 1 point in reactive armor. You actually don't see this build very often. You'll normally see a player get, like, maybe they'll get like 2 or 3 points in their 2 nukes, but normally reactive armor gets maxed at least second, if not first.
Mostly you get only until level 2, because level 2 is on the the best for maximizing your potential in the lane. And you only don't get level 2 reactive armor if you're against a lot of nukes where your reactive armor doesn't get charged up quick enough and you still die anyway. So
He is up against a lot of nukes, on that note. I mean, Vici Gaming has a lot of nuke damage,
yeah.
to be fair.
Yeah, regardless of that, Shadow Demon didn't save him, so his Bloodstone will be definitely slowed down after going for a very greedy Perseverance to start it. He's gonna have it at about 20 minutes, 200 gold short of the Bloodstone now.
And Mushi's not really playing a damage dealing hero, so shutting down Ice 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 means that DK could become a one-core lineup. Granted, it is a Luna with a Shadow Demon backing him up, which is kind of like a 1.5 core, because you get all those extra illusions. But still, it's not really what DK had in mind. So Vici Gaming hanging on, but they're not really doing anything off of the kills. They'll get a kill, and then they just back off. They're not taking towers, they're not sneaking Roche, they don't have like a great quick Roche lineup or anything like that, so... And they're not farming anyone who scales really hard late game. Aside from the Elder Titan as like a support utility hero, but he's not farming well, he's only getting his levels. They're in trouble, Winter. I still feel Vici Gaming very much on the back foot.
I think they would just have a very good timing in maybe right now or next few minutes, because now is the time where DK just pick up his Blacking Bar and having the Elder Titan max aura. This is probably your best time to try and take a fight. If you are able to win a fight now, you're probably going to take a tower or get a Roshan.
They're going to smoke up and head towards the bottom lane, and Mikasa has been spotted by... Oh no, sorry, actually he hasn't. They have a double Sentry Ward with different models. Interesting. Vici Gaming will rotate through the lane, and let's see if they can find a kill. Mushi's hiding behind the tower in reserve. Ice 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 is here as well. Shackle will connect on Mikasa right as the support's headed to the left. Oh, that's unfortunate. Now Ice 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 is caught out, but the cavalry has arrived. 3 heroes have joined the party, and Vici Gaming do not want to take this fight. The mech gets popped. They're all still on the run. Fenrir should be isolated. Shackle not going to connect, but he's still dead. That was not a very successful smoke gank.
Yeah, the Shackle shot was very, very good initiation from Mushi, and they didn't really see it coming, like you said. The supports were trying to get vision from the left-hand side, and the Mirana was just standing in the lane all by herself and got caught up by the Shackle. That was just an easy kill.
So they pretty much know, giving up those kills, they're not going to be able to defend bottom. So Super starts pushing mid. He wants to go for the trade, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get it. Burning is scaring him off the tower.
Yeah, you pick a Dragon Knight, and 20 minutes into the game, the middle tower of the enemy is still not down.
Already 21 minutes, actually. Boy, it's been a slow-paced game. We've had some really action-packed ones in China lately, but not here today. It's a deliberate pace. The Bloodstone comes out for Ice Ice Ice. It could have been much faster, but he's actually got 1,000 gold in the bank, so halfway to his Boots of Travel. Not bad.
Yeah, he always goes for his Boost of Travel very early to maximize the farming. It actually synergizes very well with his team, the way his team plays, getting the Boost of Travel on the Timbersaw so he can be very aggressive on the map and get to the team fights all the time pretty quick. So Boost of Travel would always be his choice of item after the Bloodstone.
Yeah, it's really good with Bloodstone, especially if you get charges, because you die and you don't even have to buy back. You just respawn, you're instantly and Boots of Travel back into the fight. So it's a really good combo. And it saves you an item slot. Not that Timbersaw normally has that many problems with item slots.
Yeah, and you farm a lot quicker with the Boost of Travel, so that's a very, very greedy item to go for if your team is not ahead. You can only do it most of the time if your team is ahead or either slightly even, trying to outfarm the enemy with your Midas or whatever items your team has. So going for a Boost of Travel on Timbersaw means that you are trying to slow down the pace of the game and farm more on your team.
Well, Winter, it's time for Ancient stacking. Both teams will be doing it, but DK get more value out of this because they're using a neutral to do it. And we do see Fenrir personally stacking the Ancients. They can farm them with the Dragon Knight, but it just feels like he's not going to be using the farm nearly as well as this Luna. Already Bernie has Yasha up and 800 gold in the bank. He's not too far off of Manta.
No, they're going to try and engage.
Ooh. Almost connects an RTK, slightly off the mark. So yeah, it seems like DK are just in no hurry here. They're gonna get Luna like 2 or 3 big items. Oh, top lane, this looks bad. There's an Eclipse, a BKB available, just pops the Eclipse. FY tries to TP out, not gonna escape, the arrow connects, but it is too late. Well, it was a good thought. As soon as the Lucent Beam got used, he immediately tried to TP, but just couldn't quite do it in time.
Yeah, he didn't have enough time, took too much damage, but it was a really good try there. at least he had the presence of mind to know that there was no stuns left.
Oh, Ice going hard! I think he could have thought about a dive for the next hero. He is going to do so. He's got a chakram soon. Looking for Mikasa. Cut. Indeed. Keeps on jumping. This is the definition of creating space right now.
The observer what gave him the liberty of doing that. Without the vision, he wouldn't have known who was behind.
And it's nighttime, so Vici Gaming probably thought they were safe.
Yeah, and Boots of Travel picked up already. He's gonna get sentries too. Like, getting the sentries is very important against the Nyx because he's going to be solo pushing the lanes all the time, and you can't have the supports trying to guard you and giving you vision with sentries of their own. So getting a sentry wards of himself, and when he goes to push out the far lanes, is actually a very smart move here.
Winter, it doesn't seem like we're going to be seeing our Midas Refresher, Aghanim Scepter, Earthshaker
Rubik?
from Lamb.
Oh no.
Not this game, unfortunately.
He's actually, if you look at his skill build, you already know what's the game plan of their team. They just want to take everything slow. You
Yeah.
don't usually max Disruption as your first spell on Shadow Demon unless you have a really, really good plan of what you want to do.
Yeah. Get Burning Fat and then just disrupt him and siege the enemy base with illusions. That's the game plan
Yeah.
for DK. And it's very hard to deal with. I mean, Vici, they do have a BKB on the Dragon Knight, but who do they go on here? You have to somehow get the Shadow Demon, but look how far back Lamb is. Like, how are you going to actually go on him? It's just impossible.
He just needs to make sure he doesn't die and no one else on his team would be afraid. So maybe at this point, like you said, he needs to stand behind. Getting a dagger would be very, very useful in those sort of scenarios.
Yeah, I feel like Force Staff should be enough. Because if you go Dagger, then maybe they catch you with like a backstab or something.
Well, if you're the first one to get aimed down, having a force staff doesn't really save you most of the time as well. So
That's
I
true.
feel maybe the dagger.
But getting Dagger
just
encourages you to sit really far back.
yeah, if you just want to disrupt the carry when he gets engaged, getting a dagger would most likely be the most suitable option, I would feel.
Yeah, we should. Well, and if he's gonna go that direction, he should just play like X Freedom Dota and just hide in the trees, just blink into the trees and wait to blink disrupt.
Yeah, probably that would be a good idea. Make sure he doesn't die. Moonlight Shadow gonna be casted here,
But
but
what
they
are,
actually
what are
have
they using
the
it
Mirana
for?
on the lane. The Mirana is on the lane. They actually saw
Dire's
the
middle
Moonlight Shadow.
tower is under attack.
Yeah, and they weren't actually using it for anything. Like, they were running it first. Now they're coming into the jungle, and they might look to make a go on Mushi, but he's still got Force Staff and Mech available. Should be absolutely fine. Meanwhile,
Oh, that was close.
I think it hit a creep mid.
Dire's middle
From the looks of
tower
Yeah,
is
he hit a
under
creep.
attack.
Well, Winter,
Well,
Vici
I
Gaming's
guess
just playing
you're
farm
not seeing
Dota.
the arrow. You're not seeing the arrow,
Well,
right?
I think I just missed it with my camera, but I heard the son of a bitch, so I figured it hit a creep. Well, it's been slow and deliberate. Even though there's been 17 kills, it's been like 20 minutes of no action and maybe 7 minutes of action at most. Patient,
Yeah, the thing,
patient play.
the thing is, DK doesn't want to take a fight. They just want to farm. But Vici Gaming, we know they want to take a fight, but they can't take a good. They need to be able to take a good fight to win because they are far behind. And if they just lose out in one fight right now, they're just going to be out of the game, 100% for sure.
Well,
Lamb
they
is
might
gonna
lose
try
their
and
Crystal
take
Maiden,
them.
Force Staff in. Now they go with the lift. The Luciby comes through, and DK scored easy kill on the Crystal Maiden. Meanwhile, top lane, they're also chasing Mikasa. This will be the bigger kill, but it's a really deep dive, and DK will not commit to it. They back off. They're going to work on the tier 2 top. With the CM dead and with the Mirana back to base and no Moonlight Shadow available, this should be a very easy tower.
He's going to complete his Desolator, but I still don't think they can defend this tower.
Ice. Oh boy. He's just making sure nobody's hiding in the trees. There will be no backstab attempt. Not this day. He's really taking the Timbersaw role to heart. Kill all the trees.
Kill all the trees and kill all the creeps. That's why you get the Boots of Travel and you fly everywhere.
He's still getting out farmed by his Luna though. Ice gotta
Man.
step his game up, man. This is pretty noob.
Man, he started out with a huge deficit at the start. He didn't have a lot of farm and he's only now like, what, 40 creeps behind on Burning. And Burning did like ancient stacks just now.
Yeah, that's true. But it's easier. It's easier for Timbersaw to flash farm.
True. Agreed. But Glaives is still a very good farming item later
Well,
on.
not Ancients. That's the one thing you're not good at
Bottom
killing, is the
tower is
Timbersaw.
under attack.
And speaking of that Timbersaw, he's picked up an Invis rune, and Vici Gaming actually did not have vision of that ward, or that rune, but they'll take the tier 1 bottom. DK are content to give it up. They're marching down mid. They've got the... actually, not going Manta. They're going Eagleson here. Well, I guess they've already got a Manta for burning in the form of Disruption, so they'll go Butterfly instead, and he'll have it after this tower. And then they're going to go Roche. Pretty much at that point, there's not a whole lot stopping.
No, I feel like the butterfly pickup is just to make sure he doesn't die. Our TK is gonna get lifted here. Lucent Beam to finish.
Is under attack.
And FY is just hanging out near Roche on top of a Radiant Observer ward, so he needs to back up.
Radiant structures are fortified.
They are split pushing bottom. They've gone Deso and Mirana. Little rat Dota, I guess you could say. A little bit, but Mirana's not really the best rat Dota hero.
Not a Naga Siren for sure.
Ain't no Naga, ain't no Prophet. Vici Gaming are up against it now. They gotta deal with this Roche out attempt. The Butterfly's coming. DK are in a fantastic position to take it 30 minutes in with this first Roche. They could be well on their way to taking a Game 1 victory. Arrow will fly, but it only helps them Roche. Bernie will juke behind the Roche, use it as cover. And now the Butterfly gets delivered, and here comes Ice Ice Ice. Super comes in. He is level 16. Roche is pretty low. Burning also Poppy as BKB. Now the Eclipse comes forth, doing decent damage. It's going to bring down Mikasa. It's also not going to bring down FY Super. Still going for the kills, but he hasn't actually managed to bring anyone down yet. Elder Titan Stomps comes through. He's still alive for now. MMY stolen the dragon form. The mini dragon kills off the Papa Dragon. Baby doing work. Now RRTK on the run. The arrow comes through. It hits the wrong target. For the time being, the Timbersaw is fine. Now the Lucent Beam onto RTK. This should be 3 dead, and this should be Roche going the way of DK. Burning. There you go. Dai's going to snipe it. Well played from DK. The baby Roche, or the baby Dragon Knight made the difference there. Actually helped them get that kill.
Yeah, and that was like, even if you consider the situation Vici Gaming are in, the Dragon Knight actually had the Assault Cuirass for that fight. Even then, they still couldn't get any heroes down. That was like the last straw.
And you have to want, is it the best choice this game? Because now you've just given DK a free Assault Cuirass if they want to disrupt you. Granted, they're probably going to disrupt the Luna, but I don't know.
I don't think it's a big problem, but it's just that they were so far behind in the game already.
Yeah.
Initially.
That's true.
They actually have a very strong lineup to take out a lot of the DK heroes with a lot of damage with the natural or the Desolator and the minus armor from the Assault Cuirass, but the deficit they were in was just too far behind. They actually had a very... I felt the initiation was okay. Dragon Knight BKB and ran in, and it took him so long to die, but his team wasn't able to deal enough damage to take him down.
Yeah, that's really the issue, is they don't have damage. Elder Titan, I mean, sure, he's got the aura, but Mirana has Desolator at 32 minutes, and you compare that to a Luna with Yasha, Butterfly, Helm of the Dominator. She hits so much harder, it's not even worth discussing, really. It's just a completely different conversation. DK has way more damage output, and despite the bad start for Ice Ice Ice, he's really caught up. They're going to mid now on Super. They'll sight them. They'll look for a Shackle here soon. No, not even needed. They'll just right-click him down. Well, they actually did Shackle, but the damage was already done.
And he doesn't have buyback, so this is very difficult already.
Well, Vici Gaming struggling here. It is game 1 of a best of 5. Here comes Ice 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 straight onto the high ground. Fenrir caught out. He'll drop. Now the Elder Titan Earth Splitter. It's actually perfect. It looks pretty good. It looked like it was going to hit 3 or 4. Only ends up hitting 2. One of them were BKB'd. And on that note, Vici Gaming are going to tap out. Game 1 was a stomp. Make no mistake about it. DK never trailed in any department. Not for a second this game. 33 minutes in. Witzer, they won all 3 lanes. It honestly felt like it might have been over at 5 minutes, but Vici Gaming just weren't able to do anything to come back.
Didn't I tell you Res are safe with DK? For sure.
Yeah, but that was before I realized that Sylar wasn't playing. I think it would be a bit closer with Sylar here, but with this draft, I do not see Vici Gaming winning no matter who was playing carry.
Well, I would say it actually doesn't really matter if Sylar played this game, to be honest, because they didn't lose because of Mikasa's fault. Yeah, Mikasa got caught out a few times with the Shackle Shot, which was unnecessary, but the main thing was the way the lanes played out at the start of the game. That was just the most crucial part of this game. The
completely agree.
The lanes were not expected by Vici Gaming, and they didn't have the lanes they should have had against DK, and they just lost out so much from the first 5 minutes, and so far behind, so difficult after that.
Well, guys, it was not the most exciting start to the series, but it is a best of 5, and anything could happen. Will RTK get some revenge, or will Burning take care of business against his former teammates, RTK and Super? Game 1's in the books, but it is a best of 5. Stay tuned. I'm LD, he's Winter. We'll be back with game number 2 right after this.